What TV improvements do we want in 2025? Yes, I know this is not my usual studio. I'm in Cozumel. Can't wear gloves snorkeling, but oh, look at that beautiful weather. Wait, let me show you. There we go. Got a hammock back there. But I had to fit in this video before the end of the year because you all want to know. The TVs were so great in 2024. Well, since no TV is perfect, what can they do in 2025 to make them better? And so in today's video, what can we do in 2025 to make it worth the upgrade from 2024? No, I don't encourage you guys upgrading every year. But if you are tempted, what can the TV makers do next year to convince you to replace your 2024 TV? Hey friends, want to upgrade to Windows 11 Pro but can't afford the official price of $199? How about $21 or Windows 10 for $16 with my discount code SF20? Thanks to our sponsor, Whokeys. Yes, Black Friday is here. Get an additional 30% off with my code SF20. Go to Whokeys.com, add Windows 11 Pro to your cart, apply my discount code SF20, and bam, only $21. Here's how we activate it. Go to your Whokeys account at the top right under User Center, click on My Purchased Orders, click on View Keys and Code. Click Get the Key. Copy the Windows 11 Pro key under Code Card. Then go to your system settings, scroll down and click Activation. Click Change Product Key, paste the key code, click Next, and you're done. So don't miss out on these amazing deals. Click on my links in the video description below. All right, let's start with the big four. Well, it used to be the big three until Panasonic came back to the USA, so now it's the big four. We'll start with the largest TV brand in the world, Samsung. And what must Samsung do in 2025 to improve on its flagship S95D? Definitely improve that anti-glare coating. Well, either remove it altogether, or if you like it so much, make it less aggressive. I like what it did, but in some environments, it was a bit distracting, right? If the light is too bright, direct sunlight, it was way worse than your previous non-coating. Let it work better in more lighting environments because I found, ironically, it looked best in the dark. Now, maintain brightness on these QD OLEDs. So the QD OLEDs get bright, specular highlights, looks great, color luminance, awesome. Unfortunately, you don't hold that brightness in sports content, like dynamic mode, right? You're watching sports, hockey, starts off bright, and it pretty quickly dims down after 10, 15 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, depending how bright that is. So, next generation QD OLED panel, let's push that brightness and hold on to it without, of course, affecting lifetime. And how close can we get to 4,000 nits this year? I know Sony sucker punched you announcing 4,000 nits is the new HDR thing, and you guys already released your panel barely hitting 1,700 nits peak brightness, right? Just under 1,800, I think, once it's calibrated and all that. In 2025, can we get closer to 4,000 nits? I don't expect QD OLED to get to 4,000 nits, but maybe over 2,000? Let's see how close we can get so that, yes, it'll be future-proof once in the distant future, HDR content and movies and the like are graded up to 4,000 nits of peak specular highlight. Let's see how they do it. I'm very excited to see Samsung display and what they have in store for us for sure. And of course, we now know QD OLED will come in 83 inches. So that's coming in 2025. Definitely worth the upgrade for many of you with a smaller OLED 55-inch, 65. You can now jump to a QD OLED at 83 inches in 2025. Checkbox on that. Now, what about their cash cow? Mini LED TVs, right? These are LCD TVs with a mini LED backlighting, the QN90D. One of my favorite mini LED TVs of 2024. How can we make it better? I'll tell you this, we already know it's going to have wider viewing angles. Well, I take it back. We know that Samsung will be adopting WHVA, LCD panel technology from TCL that will offer wider viewing angles, but I don't know if it will come to the QN90 series, right? Most likely it should be at their flagship 8K, QN900, whatever. Will it trickle down to a 4K flagship, QN95, QN90? I hope so. This is the bread and butter. This is what most of you guys want, is a 4K TV with wide viewing angles, and let's hope it crosses all their sizes, because the larger the TV is, the more maybe viewing angle may affect how you perceive the image, because you're sitting right in front of a 100-inch TV, 8 feet away. Yeah, the far corners of the TV may have viewing angle issues. Definitely needs the WHVA. Hopefully, it comes down to the QN series. Next up is LG. Yes, LG G4 was great. It was awesome. It fixed a lot of things that were wrong with the G3. The question is, what can we do in 2025 to make it better? What have I always said all year long? Cheaper prices. As much as I like the G4, when it's next to the S95D from Samsung, and that TV, sometimes slightly cheaper than the G4 is a bit overpriced. As a matter of fact, it should not cost the same as the S95D. It should be a little bit cheaper. Well, it looks like in 2025, we will get our wish. The G5 appears to be going in the direction of costing less because they're replacing MLA. So it appears, right? In this article, Flat Panels HD, they're exploring ways to get brighter, more efficient, and cost less without using MLA. The issue is MLA is very expensive. There's only so much you can do to drop prices if your best technology is adding so much to the cost of your flagship OLED TV. So if you can remove MLA and let it perform even better, cost less, why not? They're going to use a 4-stack approach rather than a 3-stack plus MLA. 4-stack OLED, no MLA. Hey, and if it works, boom, do it. If the G5 can be 15% cheaper than a QD OLED equivalent from Samsung, that's going to sell great. I think the G4 is actually fine. Many people complain, oh, but it's not QD OLED. Look, many of you, normal consumers, right? You cannot tell the difference, trust me, between the higher color luminance of QD OLED and WOLED on the G4 when you're watching Netflix, when you're watching YouTube, Disney Plus. Indistinguishable, right? Can the G5 continue that performance while costing less? And it appears so. So this is exciting. And of course, across the board, the C4 and the B4, if they could drop in price next year, C5, B5, right, in 2025, oh, hopefully OLED TVs will have a resurgence because it's battling against mini LED. Moving on to Sony, what about them? So Bravia 7, Bravia 9, great TVs, but they have their weaknesses. Well, we'll start with the Bravia 7. Off angle, not good. So with WHVA out there, will Sony adopt that for the Bravia 7? I hope they do something. Maybe use the Bravia 9's off-angle technology, because off-angle, when you're off just 15, 20 degrees, you can see the Bravia 7 drop in image quality. However, most of you don't notice because you're sitting right in front of the Bravia 7, and near shadow detail, when the shadow or when the scene is slightly dark, but there are bright areas of that scene, there is a little bit of ghosting. So if we can eliminate that, maybe more dimming zones can help, that would work very well. Because among all the TVs that I really liked in 2024, the Bravia 7, one of my favorites, had the least dimming zones, all software. Maybe add a few hundred more dimming zones can address that blooming ghosting issue in some scenes. Now, the Bravia 9 is as close to perfect a mini LED TV as I've seen. Can it improve? Yes. The biggest improvement, drop the prices. I understand the specular highlights could be a little bit brighter, but then you do that and there's a compromise. I mean, essentially, if the Bravia 9 had super bright specular highlights without changing anything else, it would outperform an OLED, right? So you're going to have some compromises. I'm willing to accept all the compromises of the Bravia 9 with one exception. It needs to be larger. 85 inches, not enough. Give me a 110-inch Bravia 9 for under $15,000. Custom installers will love you. Trust me on that. A lot of people willing to pay the big bucks for the best Sony TV out there. They're complaining, what? No 100-inch Bravia 9? Forget 100-inch, right? That's for the Bravia 7. Go with a 110-inch Bravia 9. Now, to be honest, to be realistic, I don't expect Sony to release huge updates to the Bravia 7 or the Bravia 9, mostly because they just released it last year. They're not Samsung. They're not LG. They're not in the business of getting a new model every year. Boom, boom, with big improvements. The bigger improvement will come to their QD OLED. and it's about time. The Sony A95L is about 2 years old, over 2 years old, right? Going on 3 years old now in 2025. A95L finally out. In comes the Bravia 10, QD OLED, 83 inches. My only request, right? Fourth gen panel, Samsung's best panel in 2025. Unleash the brightness. I know it's going to fall on deaf ears because, as we know, Sony doesn't like to unleash the brightness on their most accurate OLED TVs, whether it was the A90J, whether it was the A95K, and then last year's previous 2 years, A95L. Always a little short in ultimate brightness. Now, great for accurate movie watching, but if you want to watch sports, you want to play games, it really does, it just doesn't get that punch that the Samsung gets. And that's why I normally choose the Samsung equivalent. I want that brightness for sports watching. So Sony, Bravia 10, whatever you end up calling it, make it bright, punchy. Let's take it to Samsung. And last but not least, welcome back to the USA Panasonic. Inaugural year in the USA. CES 2025 is going to be big for Panasonic. It needs to launch the QD OLED TV. And if Sony's not going to do it, you do it. Make your QD OLED as bright as the Samsung flagship. I mean, there are multiple modes, right? You got Professional 1, Professional 2, Filmmaker, Standard, Sports. Give me a sports mode that unleashes the full power of QD OLED. And then on the other modes, professional, filmmaker, whatever, yeah, do your accuracy thing. Now, bravo to Panasonic for probably being the most accurate color, skin tone out of the box of any TV in 2024. Keep it up. And I know anyone could do it. I mean, if you could do it, what all the other brands could kidnap your people for a few months, tune their TV on vacation in Cozumel, right? Send them back to Japan and they can resume their work with you guys. But please, Panasonic, make it super bright on your sports mode. And lastly, Fire TV, although I understand your relationship with Amazon on Fire TV, ads and whatnot to help offset the cost of producing TVs and investing in new technology, it needs to be faster. The Fire TV UI is not terrible, but it's laggy, right? So find a way, get the software to work smoother, maybe get a faster processor, better SoC, just too laggy, or do what Sony does and use Google TV. It's just a bit too slow for a flagship model like the Z95A, and same for next year. Unless you improve the performance with a better chip, the SoC from MediaTek, maybe a little bit quicker. Fire TV is a bit slow. Maybe more memory will help. I don't know, but look into that for sure. And lastly, but not least, we have the upstarts, TCL and Hisense. Now, these two TV companies, wow, they just destroyed 2024. Dominant fashion, right? TCL, the QM7 and the QM8 just performed like flagships. QM7 especially. QM8 is supposed to be a flagship. I get it. QM7 was not. It's a mid-tier and performed as well as the QM8. Just not super bright in all the super bright content, but more than bright enough for my needs. And I've been highly recommending that TV all year long. The problem with both the QM7 and the QM8 is, well, sadly, off angle, like the Bravia 7, you start to lose a lot of color saturation, some contrast, right? Now that you have WHVA, which you developed, I know it's going to come on your QM9. That's your new flagship. Hopefully it trickles down to the other sizes on the QM8. I think the QM9 is limited to the super large sizes, right? But what about the 65, 75 inch, 55 inch? Maybe give a weaker WHVA for the QM8, but bravo TCL for developing WHVA that is so good for off-angle viewing that Samsung adopted. So that is awesome. So that deserves an applause for 2025. Also, TCL, you need to improve your out-of-the-box accuracy because the truth is people are not calibrating TCL TVs, even if it's a QM8 or QM9. So if that's the case, let's make it a bit more accurate. I mean, if Hisense can do it, I feel Hisense is more accurate out of the box. You can too. I mean, Panasonic nails the accuracy out of the box, right? It's maybe cost us an extra $20 per TV. Can you get that done, right? Let's make it natural skin tones out of the box. Now, the QM7 and QM8 both share its most glaring weakness, I think. near dark shadow detail. It feels very contrasty, right? Crushed blacks. It just wasn't there for me, not compared to the Bravia 7. And the Bravia 7 had way less dimming zones than either the QM7 or the QM8, which tells me this is all software tuning. Tune it. Now, Hisense, the most ambitious of the upstarts. Hisense, you announced that you will be the #1 TV brand in 2 years, surpassing Samsung. It's time to put on your big boy pants, right? All this announcement of bigger TVs, brighter TVs, more dimming zones. That's fine in 2021. We're now in 2025. Hisense, you need to innovate, like something special, jaw-dropping, unique to you. Let's see. TCL introduced WHVA, jaw-dropping, right? Off-angle viewing, almost OLED-like. Last year, Sony Bravia 9 introduced 22-bit mini LED control, made it an amazing TV. What can you do, Hisense, to raise that bar? What will you bring in 2025? That's just not what's been done the last 3 years, which you've done very well. More dimming zones, brighter, right? ADS Pro. Let's raise the bar here. You want to be #1? Act like it. What can you do in 2025 to make me say, whoa, Hisense, you've arrived. And I'm looking forward to seeing what that is. But now, one thing that you should be getting right in 2025 that I think you still missed the mark in 2024 and 2023, tone mapping. The tone mapping above 1,000 nits isn't there. It feels like color is clipping when it gets above 1,000. Like 1,500 nits, it starts to fall behind TCL and Sony and, well, Samsung, everyone else. You need to tone map above 1,000 nits better. And this is why. If you're going to release a 5,000 nit TV, what's the point of all that brightness if it's clipped to heck, right? Please work on your tone mapping algorithm. Second improvement, near shadow detail. So unlike the TCL, which has black crushing issues, you have lifted black issues. And it could be the ADS Pro panel. It could be your use of dimming zones. You have way more dimming zones on the U8N, on the U7N than any equivalent Sony. And yet, Sony has amazing near shadow detail. And although TCL is addressing it with crushing the blacks, I know you want more detail from the shadows, opposite of TCL, but everything is lifted. Right? It feels very ghosty almost. Address that. Just focus on that. So tone mapping on the brighter end. So everything between 1 nit and 1,000 nits, you nailed it, right? Out of the box accuracy, I like it. But above 1,000 nits, below 1 nit, as you get darker and darker, the issue starts to arise. Until next time, Happy New Year, my friends. I'll see you at CES